Okay, so for the clear TPU, so that's a clear vinyl. TPU is just a softer vinyl option, and it's much more flexible and it doesn't crease. So this option, or this version, you'll need 2 pieces of the clear TPU, and you'll need the corners cut off as provided in the original Nooga pattern. There are measurements for how far in and over to cut that corner off. So you'll need one of those, and that's for the slip pocket. And then you will also need another piece, and the measurement is provided in the pattern for the top and the bottom, and this is going to be on the one side with the front zipper pocket. So you will need that as well. And then you will need jelly vinyl. So the options that you will need here, or the pieces that you will need here, you'll need 2 of the shorter strips. You will have 4 of the longer strips. These are all the same measurements, and the measurements are provided in the pattern. So you have 4 of those. And those are all the same size. So the 2 shorter ones are the same size, the 4 longer ones are the same size. And then you have 2 sets of tabs. So the tabs are different measurements, and one set of tabs goes for the front, and then the smaller set of tabs goes for the top zipper. So these are your zipper tabs. And then you'll need 2 jelly main panels. Okay, you will also need a longer zipper and a shorter zipper. Again, the pattern provides the measurements for both of those. These are number 5 size zippers. And then optionally, you will most likely want some double-sided tape. I use a lot of double-sided tape when making clear and jelly vinyl items because you can't really stick pins in them. You can use clips and such for the edges, but when you're working in the middle, the double-sided tape really saves a lot. So I would recommend using some of that. And that is all the pieces. We are ready to go ahead and get started. All right, for the zipper prep, what you're going to need is your 2 zippers and then your 2 sets of tabs. Now, how I like to differentiate these is I say the shorter zipper, the bigger tab, the smaller tab, the bigger zipper. So they switch. The pieces are identified in the pattern as well, so that there's no confusion as to which pieces go with which zipper. Now what we want to do for the shorter zipper, that's going to be for the front zipper pocket. We're going to take a tab and we're going to lay it over about 1/4 inch. You can clip it, and then we're just going to top stitch straight down this edge, and then we're going to do the same thing on the other side. And because the jelly vinyl does not fray, we don't have to worry about stitching it down and then folding it back and stitching it again. So I just overlap it about 1/4 inch on each side of the zipper, and then we'll top stitch down these sides here. For the longer zipper, which will be for the top, we're going to take our shorter tabs, and then we're just going to fold them over in half like this. Just fold them over and clip. It's okay if it overhangs a little bit, and then you're just going to top stitch about 1/8 inch away from this raw edge here, and that will enclose, that'll catch both sides, and then you can always trim off the little extra after you get that stitched down. So again, on the other side, you want to make sure, since the tab is one way is a little shorter and one way is a little longer, so you want the longer side so it hangs off a little bit, and then you're just going to fold it in half, clip it in place, and then sew that one on. Let's see, that side's a little bit uneven. Let me straighten that out. Okay, There we go. So we're going to stitch down both sides here, stitch down both sides here, and then our zippers will be all prepared. All right, so once your tabs are all stitched on either side, this is your top zipper, then your zippers are prepared, and we're ready to move on to creating the outside panels. Okay, so to make we're going to start with our slip pocket. So you're going to need one jelly panel, your angled clear panel, and then your two shorter jelly strips. So setting your jelly panel to the side, we're going to attach these two strips along the angled edge. So what I will do is I will just take a piece of double-sided tape, put it right down the middle on the jelly strips, and then removing the paper backing, I will line that up with the angled edge of this panel. All right, and then doing the same thing on the other side. Okay, once those are attached, we are going to top stitch down both sides of the jelly strip. So along this edge, and then you're going to come over and along this edge. Same thing, along this edge and along this edge, and that is going to attach the jelly strips to your clear vinyl. Okay, so both strips are top stitched. Now you can take your rotary cutter or your scissors and just trim off the overhang. So I'll just trim that up so it's even with the edge. Same on this side. And then on this other side. Okay. So this is what your completed clear vinyl panel should look like. Now you want to grab one of your main jelly panels. You're going to lay this on top, matching the sides. You're going to clip it in place. And then you're just going to baste stitch it in place along this top edge and along the sides. You can optionally baste stitch along the bottom. I typically don't. That is totally up to you. The reason that I don't is because working with clear and jelly vinyl sometimes can be a little tricky. It takes a bit of a learning curve, and depending on the sewing machine feet that you use, it could push the vinyl. And so by not stitching down here, I'm just eliminating an option or the possibility of my vinyl shifting before I put it all together. So I want it to stay as nice and neat and flat as possible. So that's why I only top stitch here and here, and it's really just to hold it in place until I get to the final assembly part. One side note, if you're struggling with working with jelly and clear vinyl, I highly recommend a Teflon foot when you are working with your clear and jelly vinyl. Just like you would on regular vinyl, the Teflon foot will help it to slide and not stick and not shift and push your vinyl too much. There are other options that you can use, and I would highly recommend taking a look at the other videos in my Nooga marathon, where several people did clear and jelly Nooga versions, and they gave options on how they work with it as well. So there are other tips out there of ways that you can make your Nooga bag where it'll cause you the least amount of frustration possible. Okay, so once we get that stitched, we'll be ready to move on to the other panel. Okay, so that is base stitched on. I just did the top and I did the two sides here, trimmed up any overhang if there was any to be trimmed, and now we are ready to set this one to the side and we're going to work on the other panel. So this is our zipper panel that we're going to be working on. And so you're going to need your 2 clear vinyl pieces. You're going to need another main jelly piece. You're going to need your zipper with the flat tabs. So not the ones, this is the shorter zipper, not the ones that we folded over the top for the top zipper. This is your shorter zipper that's going to go on the front. And then you're going to need 2 of your longer jelly strips. Okay, so the first thing we need to do is we need to attach the clear jelly vinyl to your zipper. So with the zipper laying right sides up, I will attach a piece of double-sided tape along each edge of the zipper. Okay. And then removing the paper backing, I'm going to line up the shorter piece. This is for the top. I'm just going to overlap it about 1/8 of an inch. I really just want it to just lay on top of the zipper. So I'm only lapping it about the width of the zipper tape, or the double-sided tape. Okay, then I'm going to do the same thing on the bottom, aligning the bottom piece. Okay, now here is an option for you. If you want to baste this on first, you can do that. That will attach these panels to your zipper, or you could just skip that part. It's up to you. And we are going to take these 2 jelly strips, attach double-sided tape to the back, and then we're going to lay it over the raw edge of this clear vinyl here. So this is enclosing, or covering, I should say, the raw edges of the vinyl. So I know some people worry about, will they see the double-sided tape and then you'll see the zipper tape through the clear vinyl. You won't after you put the clear, or you put the jelly strip on top. So then we're going to do the same thing to the other side. Attaching the clear jelly, or the jelly, it's not clear jelly, just the jelly strip to the bottom. So it should look like this, attached to the top and the bottom. All your layers are connected, and then we are going to, just like we did on the angled slip pocket, we are going to top stitch along both long edges of the jelly strips. Okay, so once you get that top jelly strip top stitched on both sides, top and bottom, we are going to take our other main jelly panel, lay it right side up, lay this clear panel right side up, right on top of that, and then we're going to clip it in place. And again, we're going to top stitch, or baste stitch, I should say. Okay, so once that's in place, we are going to baste stitch all the way around. Optionally, again, you could just baste stitch along the top and the sides, leaving the bottom open. But once you get that basted, we are ready to move on to the next step. Okay, so I have that basted around. Again, I just left the bottom open to help with any pushing and shoving that my machine might want to do to this clear vinyl. So now the next step is, we have our 2 panels done. Now we need to attach it to the top zipper. So what I will do just like we attached this zipper, again, we're going to be putting double-sided tape on. And one thing to note, you want your zippers going in the same direction. So this one I have opening and closing to the left. So when I attach it to this one, I want to make sure that this one is also opening and closing to the left and not have it, you know, go this way and then it would be, the zippers would be opening in opposite directions. So just a little side note there. Okay, so we're going to attach double-sided tape, again, down each length of the zipper. Removing that paper backing, we are going to lay this panel right on top, and you want it centered. So you want about the same amount of overhang on both sides. Okay, and I apologize if the camera's shaking a little bit. So once you get that down, we are going to then remove the paper backing from the other side. And we're going to lay this one down. Now this is, our panel goes this way. So you want to make sure that the narrow section of your slip pocket is towards the zipper. That way your slip pocket will be the right way when we finish the bag, when we get it all put together. Okay, so once you have those down, then again, just like we did on this one, we're going to attach our 2 remaining strips on either side of this main panel here. And you can attach your double-sided tape to the bag, or you could attach them to the back of the jelly strips. It really doesn't matter. The tricky part then sometimes is getting the tape off the back of, there we go. There we go, getting that paper backing off of the double-sided tape. So taking one of your long remaining strips, again, you're just going to lay it on the top, just covering that raw edge right there. And then same thing for the other side. We're going to remove the paper backing, take your last jelly strip and laying it on top of the raw edge on that side. Okay, so what you have is something like this, and you probably guessed what our next step is already. We are going to top stitch down both long sides of each jelly strip, just like we did for this one and just like we did for these. Okay, once you get that top stitched along the top edge there, everything is attached. I will say if you are adding the optional side tabs here that will turn this bag into a sling or a waist bag, you can use the measurements and the instructions provided in the original Nooga pattern, and that is the exact same for where you will attach them here. And some of the participants in the Nooga Marathon made them with the clear vinyl attachments here, the side tabs. And so I will link all of those videos and resources in the show notes, in the show notes, in the video notes. And then you can reference those if you wanted to add this option. Okay, so now the next thing we want to do before we round the corners is I usually just open up my zipper and then just lay the 2 panels down, lining them up here at the zipper edge, and just laying the 2 panels down. I just want to make sure that they are the same size, and these both look to be the same size. If one was a little bit off, for instance, if my seam allowances were a little bit different here, this panel might be a little bit shorter or longer than this panel. And so you just want to make sure that they are the same length before you make the curved corners. So now in the pattern, there is a corner tool, a corner template. And what I will do is you just line up the flat edges touching here and here, and then you're just going to cut off this curved edge. And you're going to do that on each corner. And again, in the pattern, there is a corner template provided. Now you don't have to cut the corners. You don't have to curve them on your Nooga. However, if you don't, I have found that it is very difficult to turn these corners through. You might break a nail. You might say a couple colorful words. You might have to take a break because it's really tough on your fingers. And so just rounding these corners just a little bit here just helps that, so that when you're turning it through, it's not quite so difficult. Okay, so now what we need to do, we are just about done. We are going to match up this top edge. So right here, we're matching up our top corner. You're going to clip it in place. And again, you want that gap because this is going to be our seam allowance here. And then I will do another one at this side. I will trim these threads at the end, but matching up the top edge, I'm going to add a clip. And then smoothing out my panels, I'm just going to clip it all the way around. Okay, so once those are clipped, we're going to take it to the sewing machine and we're going to stitch all the way around, starting and stopping at both ends. Optionally, you can add a second row stitching just to the outside of that, and that will just help to give your stitches a little bit of strength and to help them so that they don't pull and show through on the outside of your bag. So I will go ahead and I'll do the 2 rows of stitching. Again, 1/4 seam allowance, 1/4 inch seam allowance, and then another line just to the outside of that. Okay, once you have that stitched, you can see my 2 rows of stitching. I'm just going to take a lighter and just quickly and carefully just singe the ends of my threads, and that's just to help so that it kind of seals them off and helps so that they won't fray. Okay, once that is done, then we can open up the zipper all the way and we are ready to turn it through. So reaching into the corner, pushing it out, and then I'll reach into the other corner and push it out. This part could be a little tricky, and it'll probably take you some time to get it turned through and worked out to the shape that you want it. I will say, if you're struggling with your vinyl and it's not wanting to push through, you can use a hair dryer. Just take your hair dryer and blow it into the inside, and that will warm up your vinyl just enough to make it a little bit more pliable so that you can push the corners out easily. I often sometimes will also just take it to the ironing board, and I will I'll use my iron to heat up the ironing board. I'll just hold my iron on the board and then take it off and then hold my vinyl over that warm spot, and that kind of does the same thing. It just warms it up enough so that you're able to push that vinyl out. All right, so I'll probably take mine over to the ironing board just to help me get this corner a little bit more pushed out. All right, once you have that turned through the way you like, I think the iron really helped to get this corner poked out. This one seemed pretty good, but this one was a little bit off. So I think that helped really well to get that poked out. And then up here, your edges are hidden by your zipper tabs. You got the inside with jelly vinyl, and then your slip pocket here. So the last thing, if you want to add an optional wrist strap, and again, if you do, you can either add a side tab to connect it to, or if you have a zipper pull that has a hole in it, you can just attach it to your zipper pull. So to do that, you will need a strip of webbing. I'm using 1-inch webbing here, and the measurement is provided in the pattern. And what I will do is I will just fold it in half, and then I'm going to use key fob hardware. So I'm going to attach this over the edge like this. And what I will do is I'm just going to, I look to see where those little prongs are. I don't know if you can see the prongs. There's 2 little prongs there that are going to grab this webbing. Sometimes the prongs like to fold in on themselves, so to encourage it to not do that, I'm just going to punch 2 little holes where the prongs are going to be going. It just makes it easier for the prongs so that they don't have to you know, push through that webbing as well. Kind of the hole is already started for them, so all they got to do is just grab it and hold it. Okay, so let me just grab my press and then we will be all set. Okay, so I have this hardware here. This is just a key fob clamp press, and so what I will do is I will just push the webbing in. You can see it there. Make sure it's lined up left to right. And then how I do it is I just give it a little clamp to kind of get it started. And then once I have it kind of in place, making sure it's lined up left to right, I will center my clamp over it, give it a good press. And there you go. There is your wrist strap. And then you can just attach it to your, like, there we go. You can just attach it to your zipper pull. And there you go. So your wrist strap is attached. Your bag is all set, looking cute. And I think this is perfect for if you're going out, maybe it's a little rainy, you put your stuff inside, you don't have to worry about it getting wet. It's a great waterproof bag. You can also use it for toiletries. You can use it as a wet bag. If you have small children, that's probably really useful. A wet bag, you could also put snacks inside. Really, the options are endless. So guys, I hope you really enjoyed this video tutorial for the Clear and Jelly Nooga add-on. And if you make it, please tag me. Use the hashtag K.dill Handmade and hashtag Clear and Jelly Nooga. And that way I can see it, because I really love to see what you guys make with the patterns. And then again, I'm going to link all of the videos and the resources that I used in this video today. I'm going to link that in the description notes so that you can reference that if you want to look at any of the other makers who did Clear and Jelly versions. Guys, I hope you really enjoyed. Thank you so much for joining me. I really appreciate your support, and I appreciate you taking the time to watch this video. If you liked the video, please give me a thumbs up. If you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel. So I'm going to post the link also to my makers group, and on there is where you can post pictures of things that you make. You can look for inspiration, ask questions, get answers, and generally we just like to have a lot of fun. So I hope to see you around. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you have fun making your Clear and Jelly Nooga, and happy sewing.